If you plan to travel in 2026, pay close attention. The new passport rules taking effect on January 1st are already causing passengers to miss flights, get delayed, and even be denied boarding. For years, you've followed the same airport routine, but these updates rewrite the rules entirely, and most travelers have no idea what changed. I'm breaking down the 8 new requirements that are catching people off guard, and the quick checks you can do now to avoid costly problems. Rule number 3 is the one stopping the most passengers, and almost nobody knows it exists. Let's start with rule number 8, the 6-month passport validity trap that's catching experienced travelers completely off guard. Rule number 8, the 6-month passport validity trap. A 68-year-old woman from Phoenix learned this the hard way on a dream trip to Thailand. Her passport was valid until March 15th, and she was flying January 10th. She thought she had plenty of time, but Thailand requires 6 months of validity from your entry date, not your return. The airline denied her boarding, and $2,400 in non-refundable tickets disappeared instantly. Why does this matter so much? Because 86 countries now enforce this 6-month rule, including most of Asia, parts of Africa, and even some Caribbean destinations. They're counting on travelers discovering this only when they reach the counter with their bags packed. Here's your action plan. Check your passport expiration date right now, then add 6 months to your planned travel dates. If your passport expires within that extended window, renew it immediately through the new online system at travel.state.gov. Processing takes 6 to 8 weeks, so waiting until December could ruin your spring vacation plans. The magic phrase when booking any international trip is asking your agent, "Does this destination require 6 months of passport validity?" Take a photo of your passport's expiration page and set a phone reminder for 10 months before it expires, giving you a 2-month buffer for stress-free renewal. But passport expiration dates are nothing compared to what immigration officers are doing with damaged passports in rule number 7. This is where things get really sneaky because they're rejecting passports for damage you can't even see with your naked eye. If you found this information useful, I'd be grateful if you liked the video and subscribed. It really helps the channel. Rule number 7, hidden passport damage that gets you denied. A 71-year-old couple from Denver learned this the hard way when their passports looked perfectly fine, but the husband had bent his for years to fit in his back pocket. At the London departure gate, the scanner failed 3 times before the agent explained that his RFID chip was damaged from repeated bending. $1,800 in rebooking fees later, they discovered that modern passports contain fragile RFID antennas in the back cover. And once bent, they often stop reading. With more countries switching to mandatory electronic gates in 2026, this small damage can completely block your trip. Your strategy is simple. Never bend your passport and always store it flat. A cheap hard-shell passport holder prevents most damage. Check for water exposure, torn pages, or lifted laminate, and renew if your appearance has changed significantly. Test your passport at a self-service kiosk on your next domestic flight. If it doesn't scan, replace it before traveling internationally. And if it fails at the airport, use the phrase, "I'd like to request manual processing while I arrange a replacement." Now, if you think damaged passports are problematic, rule number 6 about real ID enforcement is creating absolute nightmares for domestic travelers. May 7th, 2025 was supposedly the hard deadline, but here's what's catching seniors completely off guard in 2026. Rule number 6, real ID enforcement confusion in 2026. A 74-year-old grandmother from Tampa showed up for her domestic flight to visit grandchildren and handed over her Florida driver's license. The TSA agent immediately spotted the problem, asking if she had brought her passport because her license didn't display the required gold star. She hadn't brought her passport because why would she need it for domestic travel? After 45 minutes of secondary screening and a thorough pat-down, she missed her flight and paid $340 to rebook. This travel hack for seniors is absolutely critical because TSA is now rejecting non-compliant identification for all domestic flights with 0 exceptions. Check your driver's license right now for a gold or black star in the upper right corner. No star means you need either a real ID compliant license or your passport for every domestic flight. Schedule your real ID appointment immediately through your state DMV website, bringing your birth certificate, social security card, and 2 proofs of current address. If you're over 60 and travel more than twice yearly, just use your passport for everything since it's universally accepted and never expires unexpectedly. But real ID confusion pales in comparison to rule number 5, Europe's new biometric border requirements that are catching American seniors completely unprepared. Starting October 12, 2025, Europe launched their entry-exit system, and by April 2026, it becomes mandatory at every single border crossing. Rule number 5, Europe's new biometric entry requirements. A 69-year-old couple celebrating their 50th anniversary landed in Paris expecting the usual quick passport stamp, but instead found themselves directed to intimidating biometric kiosks. The husband's arthritis made fingerprint scanning difficult, requiring 6 frustrating attempts while their connecting train to Provence departed without them, costing $200 in rebooking fees. Europe's new system requires your photograph and 4 fingerprints every time you enter or exit the Schengen zone, storing this biometric data for 3 years. If you're traveling with mobility issues, joint problems, or hand tremors, the process takes significantly longer than traditional passport stamps. Your preparation strategy involves arriving at European airports 30 minutes earlier than previously needed. If you have arthritis or hand tremors, immediately inform the immigration agent because they have alternative accommodation processes available. Once you're registered in their system, future entries become much faster and more efficient. The magic phrase if the biometric scanner won't read your fingerprints is, "I have a medical condition affecting my hands. Is there an alternative verification process available?" And here's where Europe gets even more demanding with rule number 4, the ETIAS authorization requirement that most seniors don't even know exists yet. Starting late 2026, all US travelers need ETIAS approval before boarding any flight to Europe. Rule number 4, ETIAS approval required before boarding. A 72-year-old from Boston discovered this at the airport when booking a German river cruise. Despite having her passport and tickets ready, the airline agent asked about her ETIAS authorization, something she'd never heard of before. Forced to apply using airport Wi-Fi while paying the €7 fee and praying for instant approval, she waited 3 anxious hours before getting cleared, missing her original flight and losing a full day of her cruise vacation. ETIAS functions as Europe's version of the American ESTA system, requiring pre-screening authorization that must be approved before you can board your flight. While most approvals happen within minutes, some applications can take up to 96 hours for processing. Apply for ETIAS at least 1 week before departure through traveleurope.europa.eu. The €7 fee covers 3 years of validity, or until your passport expires, whichever comes first. Keep a screenshot of your approval confirmation on your phone, and remember that renewing your passport voids your existing ETIAS, requiring a completely new application. But if you think Europe is complicated, rule number 3 reveals the digital identification disaster that's catching more seniors than any other new requirement. TSA now accepts digital IDs stored in Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. But here's the dangerous trap they're not advertising. Rule number 3, the digital ID failure trap at TSA. A 70-year-old from Chicago proudly set up his digital driver's license on his iPhone and confidently presented it at O'Hare Security. The scanner immediately beeped red while the agent explained they don't accept digital IDs at that particular checkpoint. Since he'd left his physical license at home, assuming digital was sufficient, 30 minutes of arguing and supervisor calls followed before they allowed him through with alternative verification, causing him to miss his boarding window. The critical flaw in digital identification is that it only works at select airports and specific checkpoints. Even TSA quietly acknowledges it as optional convenience rather than reliable replacement. When scanners fail, phones die, or agents don't trust the technology, you're completely stranded without backup identification. Always carry your physical ID even when you have digital backup available. Digital identification serves as convenience, never as primary identification replacement. Keep your phone fully charged with maximum brightness for scanning, and take a photo of your physical ID stored in a password-protected note for emergency identity verification. The magic phrase when digital ID fails is simply, "I have my physical identification as backup," while immediately producing your traditional license or passport. Now we're getting to the really expensive mistakes with rule number 2, the medication declaration trap that's costing seniors hundreds in confiscated prescriptions. Here's what TSA deliberately doesn't advertise about liquid medication allowances. Rule number 2, TSA's medication declaration. A 71-year-old from Tampa packed her 8-ounce liquid fiber supplement in carry-on luggage, thinking it would be fine since it was medication. Security immediately flagged the oversized liquid, and when she explained it was daily medication, they demanded documentation she didn't know was required. Without proper medical documentation, they confiscated her $28 supplement, leaving her constipated and miserable for 3 days of her cruise. TSA actually has medical exemptions for liquids over 3.4 ounces. But they don't promote this policy because they're banking on passengers not knowing to declare medications at checkpoints. The solution requires proactive declaration rather than reactive explanation. Separate all liquid medications exceeding 3.4 ounces before reaching security. Then verbally declare them by stating, "I have medically necessary liquids to declare." Keep doctor's notes or prescription labels visible for quick verification. Testing takes 30 seconds, and they'll wave you through without confiscation. Print the TSA medical exemption guidelines from tsa.gov and keep them in your carry-on bag to show pushback agents who might not know their own policies. And now we reach rule number 1, the blank passport page requirement that's costing seniors more money than all other rules combined. This silent killer catches even the most experienced international travelers completely unprepared. Rule number 1, the 2 consecutive blank passport. Pages rule. A 68-year-old couple from Phoenix had perfectly valid passports with years remaining before expiration. But at their Italy departure gate, the airline agent flipped through their documents and delivered shocking news. Despite having blank pages available, they didn't have 2 consecutive completely blank pages, which Italy requires for entry stamps and potential visa requirements. The airline refused boarding, and $3,200 in non-refundable tickets disappeared instantly. Many countries now require 2 consecutive blank pages side by side, not just scattered blank pages throughout your passport book. US passports no longer offer page addition services, so if your book is full, you must renew entirely, even with years of remaining validity. Check your passport immediately and count consecutive blank pages carefully. If you have fewer than 4 completely blank pages total, begin renewal procedures right away. Some destinations are stricter than others, so research specific requirements for your planned destinations. When booking international travel, ask your agent, "Does this destination require consecutive blank passport pages?" Take photos of your passport's first and last pages to track page usage per trip, and when you reach 50% capacity, start planning renewal to avoid last-minute emergencies. These 8 new 2026 passport rules are already costing unprepared seniors thousands in rebooking fees and ruined vacations. But knowing these requirements gives you the power to travel confidently, while others get caught off guard at airport gates. Remember, these senior travel tips work best when you prepare weeks in advance rather than discovering problems at departure gates. Your next international adventure depends on understanding these airline secrets for seniors that most travel agents won't explain until it's too late. If this video helped you avoid potential travel disasters, make sure you're subscribed for more airport tips for seniors and TSA tips for seniors that can save you hundreds on your next trip. The travel industry is constantly changing their rules, and staying informed protects your vacation investments and peace of mind.